Hey guys, welcome to Sophie's Super Crazy Life. And today I decided I was gonna do a movie review. So I'm gonna talk to you about probably the worst movie ever, the Blair Witch Project. Seriously? Okay, so I'm gonna give you my review on this movie, and I actually have a nice little review written up. So I'm gonna talk about that. Well, this movie is about three college kids, Heather Donahue, Josh Leonard, and Mike Williams, and they go out to make a documentary about the Blair Witch, which is in Burkittsville, Maryland. And so they go and make a movie or documentary about this legend of the Blair Witch, which you can find that on imbd.com. They talk about it, and it's like a long story, so I'm not going to get into it. But so yeah, they're in search of finding out about this thing. Okay, so I was watching this movie, and I can just tell you that the entire movie was arguing. They argued the entire movie. I've never seen anyone argue as much as they did in this movie. And all the quotes on imdb.com, they're all of arguing. There's nothing else but arguing. I don't think I've ever seen a group of people argue as much as I did in this movie. Pretty ridiculous. First of all, the length of the synopsis is 17 paragraphs. Okay, 17 paragraphs with not one mention of arguing. They said tensions were high, but that was just like one small little sentence. Okay, honestly, this is what I would say if I was writing that plot synopsis. Okay, interview citizens, lost in woods, argue, 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 rock piles, argue, 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 sticks, argue, 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 sounds at night, argue, 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 Josh goes missing, argue, 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 they die. That's all you need. Okay, well, there's a part in the movie where Heather loses the map. They were in a tent, and then they wake up, and Heather can't find the map, and she doesn't know where it is. Well, she's like having a panic attack, and everyone else is having a panic attack, and it's kind of weird. And she's like screaming, and she's like, I gave it back to you. And then they're saying, no, I gave it back to you. And then, oh, I gave it back to you. Okay, well, okay, someone gave it back to someone. Point is, one of you guys has to have it. And honestly, they keep saying like, well, maybe you lost it somewhere. And it really doesn't make sense that they would have just lost it. But, you know. But, so they're like accusing Heather of losing it, and like Mike and Josh are being so mean to her and yelling at her. She's crying, and I'm like, okay. Mike admits to throwing the stupid map in the creek. He is a jerk because he's laughing hysterically. He threw the map in the creek. He told her this a few days later. She is like gonna kill him because she's so mad at him because he was just being all mean to her. He's the one who threw the map in the creek. And Josh doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. He's a jerk. They decide they're not going to put a fire because they're saying that's just drawing attention to themselves. And every time they had a fire, they heard sounds. Well, okay, first of all, it's the woods. You hear sounds. Okay. Second of all, really? No fire? Really, people? That was like, you're in the woods by yourself. No fire? And oh, and by the way, not having a fire did nothing because they still heard sounds, and it was 10 times scarier without the fire. Okay, so Josh goes missing. And let me just tell you, this is my personal favorite part. I don't know why. They just wake up and he's gone. And then Mike says, well, maybe he just went and wanted to be alone. You're in the freaking woods. They hear him screaming, yelling, possibly. Personally, I think he's arguing with himself. Or he's arguing with the Blair Witch. I don't know. The movie was all arguing. I want to apologize to my mom and my dad and Josh's mom and the guys for last week. And I'm sorry to all you because I'm all close to the camera. You can see up my nose. Weird. Really weird. Okay, well, there was a scene where their tent was attacked by God knows what, and they run out of the tent and they're running away, and as Heather's going, she goes, okay, well, first of all, the camera's pointing at the ground the whole time, and at Mike's butt. I think there was something, okay. But they're running away from stuff, and she's like, oh my God, what was that? Oh. I don't know. Really would love to tell you, but I can't see a thing. And as she's pointing, you see her hand go to that direction, so I know it was over here. Camera's at the ground. Well, let me just tell you that Heather Donahue, Josh Leonard, and Mike Williams, yeah, actors. All the people they interviewed, yeah, they were actors too. Well, actually, the legend is fake as well. They made it up. There's no Blair Witch in Burkittsville, Maryland. At all. There never was. There never will be. And the actors thought it was real. They thought that this was a real thing. But no, they were told later it was all fake. All of it was fake. The directors of this movie were real jerks, okay? They were jerks. Apparently, they gave them less food each day of shooting to raise tension and make them mad at each other, to induce arguing and hunger. Oh yeah, and that scene where they felt like people or things were hitting the side of the tent. Yeah, the directors apparently were shaking the tent, and the actors didn't know. They didn't know that was what was going to happen. It was just a spur of the moment thing. So when they were running out of the tent scared, they were actually really terrified because they just had a tent shook on them. Yeah. So, great job, guys. Got an A for jerkiness. Are you on drugs? This is a horrible movie. The worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, no. No. This was a bad movie. Do not go see it.